that all of Canada was supporting you as you healed.
Tonight, on the 3-year anniversary of a deadly shooting, Prime Minister Trudeau announces more support for the community of La Loche, Saskatchewan.
I am just here to spread the message and spread the word and spread my culture, my people, and the fight that we have ahead of us.
Now, a Quebec resident, a Wet'suwet'en woman, pushes for greater accountability from the federal government.
It's important that they learn about the territory where they're in.
And a closer look at the impact of bringing awareness of Indigenous cultures to mainstream institutions. Good evening, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in La Loche, Saskatchewan today, where he announced new funds for mental health services in the community. This comes 3 years after a young man shot and killed 4 people in the village. Brittany Hobson brings us more.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau committed new funds for the Dene High School in La Loche. The announcement comes a day after the 3rd anniversary of shootings at the school and a home that left 4 dead and 7 injured in the community north of Regina.
When I was here in 2016, I told this community, the students, teachers, parents, friends, that we were standing behind you, that all of Canada was supporting you as you healed. So when you asked for more help, our government listened and responded.
At an event in the school gymnasium, Trudeau told the community $2.2 million would be handed over the course of the next 5 years, a commitment that goes beyond the Liberals' current mandate. Trudeau says it will go toward cultural and language-based programs as well as mental health services for students. The Prime Minister was questioned why it took 3 years to get assistance.
There were immediate flowings of funds after the tragedy, but in terms of the right investments to build a resilient community, not just in response to a disaster, a tragedy, but for the medium and long term, we needed to make sure we're getting it right, and that's what we've been doing till today.
La Loche Mayor Robert St. Pierre says there is no plan put in place for the money at this time.
This is a fundamental step. This is a good leap forward for us. I mean, it's going to enable us to put some pieces together and formalize a better plan for our community and a healing journey.
He says the community will also be looking at creating more economic opportunities for residents.
La Loche can use some investment. We don't have the dollars and infrastructure at this time, but if we have true investment and people willing to take a risk and take a chance in our community, they can thrive with the community alongside the partnerships that we built.
Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe was also in attendance. He committed $3 million to be put toward housing units for people working in health or education. The provincial government hopes this will help recruit more workers.
Well, I think in fairness, we have been moving along with the community at a pace that is best for the community. Do we need to do more? Yes, we do need to do more as we move forward, and we need to work in conjunction and in partnership with our federal government. And what you saw here today was a further announcement with respect to mental health supports by the federal government.
A student who was underage at the time was sentenced to life in prison in May 2018. Brittany Hobson, APTN National News.
We're hearing today for the first time from the student at the center of a video that sparked outrage over the weekend. Nick Sandman is the Kentucky high schooler who stood in front of activist Nathan Phillips. The footage shows Sandman and others appearing to surround Phillips at the end of the Indigenous Peoples March in Washington, D.C. last week. Sandman tells the Today Show he didn't feel he was being disrespectful.
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips. I respect him. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, in hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing.
American Indian Movement chapters in Kentucky and Indiana said Phillips was trying to defuse a dispute between the students and some Black Hebrew Israelites. And he was then disrespected by the kids he tried to defend. Covington High School was closed yesterday due to threats of violence. She may be the only Wet'suwet'en person in the entire province of Quebec, but Marlene Hale hasn't let that stop her from asking tough questions of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Tom Fenario has more.
Marlene Hale, yeah.
Marlene Hale wasn't always politically active. She's a chef by trade. But things changed earlier this month when the RCMP raided an anti-pipeline camp on her territory.
I was just innocently making bannock and serving it, and which I am tomorrow, and all of a sudden the world just changes in a dime.
Having spent the last 7 years living in Montreal, Hale felt compelled to contribute to the anti-pipeline struggle back home, even though she lives thousands of kilometers away. So she's taken it upon herself to chase after the upper echelons of the federal government. On this day, Hale is hoping to get a word in with the Environment Minister, Catherine McKenna, who is in Montreal to make an announcement.
What is she doing to protect the environment as a minister? And for her to really take a second look at many things, like not even just oil, gas, but the coal that's going into the Talquah region in BC North.
Hale has already had success speaking to high-level government officials.
My name is Marlene Hale, and I am from the Wet'suwet'en Nation.
With the help of fellow activists, Hale was able to ask questions on behalf of the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs and Justin Trudeau at a recent town hall in Saint-Hyacinthe, Quebec, where she pressed Trudeau on what she called a flawed consultation process with her people.
The Wet'suwet'en have demonstrated in the Supreme Court over and over again that the hereditary chiefs are the decision makers on our land. Yet you tout the agreements with federal band councils as a victory for this enormous project.
Trudeau's response agreed that the consultation process needs to be improved.
We need to support you in the creation of a process that will bring those voices together in a unified process so that we can seek consent for energy projects, hope to get it, hope to listen to concerns and improve projects as they are put forward. What we've seen this past week is the fact that the processes we have right now are not yet the right processes.
Hale says she appreciates that Trudeau took the time to respectfully answer her questions. And although she didn't get a chance to speak with Minister McKenna personally, one of the activists she is working with will attempt to read a statement on her behalf.
Suddenly everybody knows that I'm the only Wet'suwet'en in Quebec, but it's okay. I am just here to spread the message and spread the word and spread my culture, my people, and the fight that we have ahead of us.
Solidarité!
Tom Fenario, APTN National News, Montreal.
Well, there's another video on social media making the rounds in this country that's facing criticism. This one featuring a hockey team in Alberta. More on that after the break. Starting on the East Coast, where it's a mild day for Halifax with +9, +8 in Charlottetown. -4 for Happy Valley Goose Bay and Cartwright, -24 in Inukjuak. +4 in Montreal with rain, -4 and snow for Chibougamau. -4 in Sarnia, London and Toronto. +4 for Ottawa. -18 in Thunder Bay, -17 in Timmins, 15 below for Wawa. Cold in northern Manitoba, 30 below for Churchill, -27 in Puckatawagan, -11 in Winnipeg with snow, and in Dauphin with sunny skies. -7 for Estevan, -13 under the sun in Yorkton and Saskatoon, -27 for Uranium City and Stony Rapids. Welcome back. About 100 Indigenous youth from all over southern Alberta hit the ski trails in Canmore. Cross-country ski days are part of Spirit North, an organization that connects Indigenous youth while focusing on health and wellness. Equipment and coaching are provided for the youth. It's skills they can bring back to their communities.
From what I know and what I've seen, they bring it back to the classrooms. They bring these skills that they've learned and the challenges that they've met back into the classroom, back into home, back into community. And I do believe it truly helps.
Some players on a Fort McMurray hockey team are receiving criticism after a racist video posted on social media went viral. Oil Baron players can be seen in the dressing room dancing and using a garbage can for a drum. The team does have Indigenous players, and the Fort McMurray Minor Hockey Association has apologized for the incident. In a press statement, the association stated the individuals involved will be dealt with. Oil Baron assistant captain Seth Grandjam told APTN the involved players are sorry for their actions.
You know, one of the boys just thought it'd be fun for the native boys to get up and just do a little like powwow dance there before the game. So one of the boys thought it'd be fun to grab a garbage can lid, hit the lid and make it kind of like a drum. They just didn't think at all about their actions. Like now that they know what they did, for sure they're not gonna do anything at all.
Some universities are working to welcome Indigenous students and educate staff and students about culture and traditions. So it is more common to see events such as feasts, powwows, and drumming held on university campuses. Angel Moore reports from a campus in Halifax that these events aren't just for show.
Mi'kmaq Midwinter Feast is a celebration of thanks to the Great Spirit for the blessings of life. The feast was held on the campus of Mount St. Vincent University. Kathleen Arsenal says these events are more than just entertainment.
There's a lot of stigma about fluff and how we only have these events as just kind of like a show. But behind the scenes, we do have a lot of issues that are being tackled.
Discussing pipelines, protecting the land and water are some concerns that all students share. She says events like these are an opportunity to welcome people and have discussions.
Not only are we bringing tradition into the university setting, we are also building awareness about issues such as the 1,200 missing Indigenous and murdered women.
Elder Joe Michael agrees. He says drumming, dancing, and singing are not just for show. It is sharing teachings and life experiences.
It's to understand our culture and to extend the generosity of our First Nations to different ethnic groups, you know.
Dancing is a way for Trevor Gould to share his culture. He says it's important to keep traditions alive, and one way is for universities to host events like this on campus.
These places have international people from all over the world coming to these schools, and it's important that they learn about the territory where they're in, the First Nations that live here, the Aboriginal, Indigenous.
Mount St. Vincent plans on building the relationship with the Indigenous community. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Halifax.
Today on In Focus, host Melissa Ridgen talked to a child advocate and former CFS worker about the problems within the system and about child apprehension.
I think that the design of the system is what allows for children to be apprehended when necessarily they shouldn't be. Particularly here in Manitoba. Our system here is protection-based. So, you know, there's a budget of $514 million a year in for child welfare in Manitoba.
It's a big industry. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. That's not even all of the money, because when you factor in, you know, the feeds into the justice system, the feeds into the healthcare system, and, you know, the legal system, it's far greater. It's more like $1 billion industry. And so when you look at that, just $514 million, 90% of the money in the system is earmarked for the protection of children. So there is no means of prevention in a real way.
I came in very naive. You know, I had just graduated 2005. I didn't do a practicum in CFS. I didn't.
You got into, I mean, you went into this to social work, presumably.
To help people.
Right?
To help my people. That's what I thought I'd be doing.
Yeah.
And there were many, many times we could have prevented apprehension, but that's exactly what happened. And I can tell you, I noticed a huge disparity because not once was I ever called as a protection worker to an upper middle class home, unless it was a foster home.
Right.
It was always people of, you know, lower economic means, lower education, people that were really victimized by the system that didn't know their rights all too often. And Cora is exactly right. You know, the issue of poverty is huge. You know, that would often be, poverty and trauma were the core reasons, but no one was helping that.
Yeah.
And they talked a lot about family reunification and putting in money to try and help the families, but the families would have to come to us, and most families don't trust CFS for good reason.
It was an important discussion, and you can catch the full episode on our Facebook page or tomorrow morning right here on APTN at 10 a.m. Central or 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Time for another quick break, but stick around. There's more to come. Picking back up in northern Alberta, minus 21 to the sun in high level in Fort McMurray. Minus 8 in Medicine Hat with rain. Minus 7 for Lethbridge. On the west coast, 10 under the sun in Tofino. Plus 8 in Vancouver and Campbell River. Minus 19 for Fort Nelson. 0 for Smithers. In the Yukon, 31 below in Old Crow. Minus 26 in Mayo. Minus 20 for Fort Liard and Trout Lake. Minus 29 in Yellowknife. 30 below for Pawlatuck and Colville Lake. Minus 27 in Sax Harbor. Minus 40s for Whale Cove, Chesterfield, and Repulse Bay. Even cooler in Baker Lake. Minus 40 in Igloolik. Minus 35 in Arctic Bay. Welcome back. At just 10 years old, Zion Jones is twirling his way to success. In fact, his passion for ballet will see him take the stage for a renowned Russian ballet company. Here's our colleagues at Maori Television in New Zealand with that story.
What it feels like to dance, it feels like you've teleported into a different realm. You'll just feel like you've gone to a happy realm and a happy place where you can dance and express yourself.
I'm proud, like, you know, especially being Māori, and having to offer this kind of, you know, talent. This taonga.
At just 10 years old, Zion Jones's dance moves are on point.
Go up and run and...
Being the only boy in his ballet class, one could even compare him to a character in a particular hit film.
Why don't you join it? No one's ever called me the Māori Billy Elliot. I've watched the movie and I like it. But no, most people say, oh, he's a natural, you know. And my nan always said, if someone says that to you, just say thank you.
And run, 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 deep.
My nan and me think that it's really good that I'm the only boy because it means that I stand out.
Zion was also one of the few Māori faces at the Valerie Lisette School of Dance in Hamilton.
Yeah, we like to remind him about that, you know, and so that he's grounded on his roots, you know, that he is Māori, and that's unique and that's special. You know, so Zion, he knows where he's from. He knows his pepeha on both of our sides, you know, on his mum and his dad's side, and so yeah, we frequently remind him, you know. And he's happy knowing that too, you know, and he's proud of that he's Māori.
Can't help but feel really proud inside. But again, it's that moment like when you just look at someone or anyone, including our son, and you go, yep, this is what you're meant to be doing, and you clearly are enjoying doing it.
He started as a gymnast, but 18 months ago, Zion wanted a change and was drawn to ballet.
It was easy. It was a big transition going from one thing to another. I just thought that it was just the right thing to do at that time. I'm probably one of the only flexible people in my family. Yeah, I'm probably the only boy in my family that's right now doing dancing. Yeah, so I just feel that's like a special talent that I've been given.
The youngster receives lots of support from whānau like his nan. They've helped him overcome the bullying he faced because of his love for dance.
Sometimes when I'm doing like moves at school, some people are like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just doing ballet moves. And they're like, oh yeah. And so, yeah, I'm pretty fine with it.
I think early on, you know, Zion had a couple of experiences, you know, where his, you know, a few people, you know, whakatakaia his mana, and, you know, when he was trying to perform or express himself, because they don't understand, you know, where he's coming from, you know, so other young people. So early on, that was quite a blessing, really, that he experienced that early on, so that we could, you know, coach him through that time, and to the point where he is now. He's actually really strong, like he has a lot of inner strength now.
That's going to happen, he's going to get challenged there. But the key is, like Neve said, you know, it's just being able to, you know, that inner strength really just, you know, awhi that within him.
Hours of training and hard work has paid off. Last month, Zion was chosen to dance in a show for the Imperial Russian Ballet Company.
So I got a humongous shock, and then you can't really explain how you feel when you get something so big like that. To me, when I'm on stage dancing, it's like the lights are so bright you can't even see anyone in the audience. It's like you're dancing with a group by yourself on the stage.
Do you get nervous?
When I'm backstage, you know, I wobble around and my teeth chatter a little bit, but when I get on the stage, I'm fine and I'm really happy.
The young talent has the world at his feet and has big dreams for his future.
My dream in dancing, I want to get into the Royal New Zealand Ballet. And when I get older, I'm going to take my nan over to London, and I'm going to try and get into the Royal Ballet in London, and I'm taking my nan with me. She's always wanted to go and see Buckingham Palace. So it's a dream for her and a dream for me.
Great story, some slick moves. That's your APTN National News for this Wednesday. For more, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. That's where you can watch the full episode of today's In Focus, where the child welfare system was under the microscope. And stay up to date with the latest Indigenous news by downloading the APTN News app. I'm Dennis Ward. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.